In this video, we're going to be tying the classic bonefish fly called the Bonefish Special. This is a great skinny water bonefish fly, also great for Mexico where bonefish are often found in skinny water. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take some orange blood quill marabou. It can be fluorescent orange, burnt orange, orange. I've even seen them tied with pink. Really you're just looking for kind of a hot spot to the fly. And we're going to tie in a tail. It's going to be about half of the length of the shank of the hook. It's going to be very short. We're just going to tie this in. I usually do tie it in here at the front. And I spiral my thread back, pulling that tail nice and tight. And I tie it in at the front just to give the body a nice, smooth, and even base. You'll see why when we tie the body of the fly. We need a very smooth body to tie the body of the material, or to tie the material onto the body. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in the rib. And originally this fly called for heavy-duty fluorocarbon or monofilament for the rib. Nowadays we use a very similar product that's D-rib. It's a lot easier to work with, and it actually gives the fly a better look. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to tie in some gold tinsel. You can also use gold flashabou if you have flashabou handy. This is just going to be the underbody. We're going to tie this in right there at the back. Then we're going to take our thread forward, just making sure we have a nice, smooth, and even body to tie on. And we're going to take this tinsel and we're going to wrap it so that that gold shines through. And I pull nice and tight to kind of help the tinsel blend into each other. Each wrap will just blend in if you pull it nice and taut. And once we get to the head, I'm just going to capture that tinsel. It's kind of slippery stuff, so you got to make sure you really secure it and get it tied down. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our D-rib, we're going to wrap the D-rib over the tinsel, and we're going to wrap it so that the D-rib, the round portion, faces up, so you get this nice even segmentation of the D-rib. And this stuff is just much easier to work with than heavy-duty 50 or 40 pound fluorocarbon. It just wraps onto the hook much more evenly. And once you also get to the head with that, you can capture it. This just adds durability to the fly more than anything. Now we're actually going to take the fly, and I find it easiest at this step if you turn it upside down. The next material that we're going to add is going to be some white calf tail. I'm just going to rough stack it. You don't need the tips of the calf tail to be perfectly even like you do on a lot of trout flies. Really we're just kind of looking for a rough stack. Calf tail can be kind of difficult to stack in and of itself, so I just get it kind of close. We just don't want any really long or really short fibers. Then I'm going to take this calf tail and we're going to tie it in so that it's just longer than the hook itself. I'm going to take my thread and just do a couple wraps away from the eye. I'm just going to hold it in place and secure it with some nice tight wraps. And you got to be careful not to use too much calf tail. I'd say I probably used about 1/3 of a pencil in diameter. You definitely don't want to use a pencil in diameter or more. That's way too much. The tips can be kind of difficult to trim, so you just got to get in there as close as you can. And really bite down with your thread to cover up those butt ends. If there's any really short, straggly fibers, you can trim those out now or later, either way. Now, the next material we're going to add are just a couple strands of pearl crystal flash. So I take 2 long strands. I'm just going to tie 2 strands on each side of the fly. And I just do this kind of in one motion. I just tie them in on one side, then I pull the crystal flash to the other side. And then we're going to trim these pieces of crystal flash so that they are just longer than our calf tail. Now the last step is we're going to take a couple of grizzly feathers. What type of grizzly feather doesn't really matter too much. I'm using actually grizzly feathers from a bugger pack. You can also use them from a rooster cape. And we're going to tie these in so that they're twice as long as the length of the hook. So I just kind of roughly eyeball it, and I'm going to trim or peel away some of those barbs to just expose the quill of the feather. And then I'm going to take my other feather, I have 2 of them, and I'm just going to match them up so that they're the exact same length. And then again, just peel away those fibers from your other feather. Pretty easy to do. Once you have those prepped, we're going to tie these in. We're going to tie them in. You can see that they have a curve to them. We're going to tie them in so that the curve faces inward or towards each other in the fly. On this fly, we don't necessarily want them to splay away from each other. So I'll just take the first one and I'll just tie it in. And when you tie them in, you want to tie them in at a slightly upward angle. What I mean by that is you want them to kind of sit along with the calf tail. So I want them to sit more so like that rather than facing down or straight up. So we just kind of want them swooping back onto the fly. And it's a little bit tricky to tie them in at first. You want to tie them in so that the feather mates perfectly with the side of the fly. I do so just by pinching the feather into place nice and tight with my finger. The feathers, every once in a while you get one that will like to roll on you, and you just kind of have to pinch it in place nice and tight and then lash it down. And then you can manipulate it with your fingers afterwards. Then we can just finish up the head. Now traditionally this fly has been finished with a heavy coat of lacquer, which if you have that still, or you still use it, that is just fine. A lot of the ones that I've fished, I actually skipped the lacquer step and I just usually super glue the ones I'm actually going to fish. But to finish it, if I want it to really look good, I can just use a little bit of Loon fly finish. Very similar look to lacquer, without all the toxic fumes, and don't have to wait for it to dry either. I can just kind of coat the head, and I can cure it with my UV light all in one step. And you don't have to do this to the body with that D-rib. It is nice and durable already, so you don't need to coat the body with anything. Traditionally, this head has just been coated with a nice glossy finish, but like I said, a lot of the ones I've fished, I've actually skipped this step, and they catch bonefish just fine. And once you get a nice even coat, you can cure it. Make sure you don't look at it while you're curing it, or wear some protective glasses or something. UV is not good for your eyes. And I also forgot to mention, this fly was first tied unweighted, just like so, but it can be tied weighted with bead chain eyes, depending on how deep you are fishing. But that is the Bonefish Special, developed by Bonefish legend Chico Fernandez. And you can find all the materials for this fly on our website, intheriffle.com.